Tourist who claimed he was banned entry to the US because of a JD Vance meme on his phone was actually denied for a different reason, Homeland reveals. And that is something that I wanted to clear up. Because basically everyone was going, oh, the JD Vance meme and he get kicked out of the country. Yeah, what happened to free speech? And people were tweeting at me for it. And I was kind of like, that seems a little bit over the top. And as someone who has gone through US immigration, yeah, they're kind of sticklers, right? They are kind of sticklers. I actually get pulled aside when I was there, but it turns out it's because they knew who I was and they wanted to mess with me. And you know what? Yeah, okay, funny. It was funny. It was funny. I'll give you that. They had me sitting there like panicking. I was like, no, no, I'm just here to do blah, blah. And then they all started laughing at me. That's funny. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that is funny. I'm not going to tell you who it was in case they get into trouble, and I'm not a snitch. But anyway, yeah, everyone was running up and down going, yeah, JD Vance meme, Trump and Vance are not pro free speech. But it turned out it was for another reason. They even had to tweet it out on their official account. A Norwegian tourist who claimed he was denied entry to the United States after immigration officers found a meme of JD Vance on his phone was actually turned away for a different reason, US officials have revealed. Mads Mikkelsen, good name, was sent away after arriving in New Jersey's Newark airport on June 11th for a holiday. He told Norwegian outlet Nordlys that he had been pulled aside by border control and put in a cell. They asked questions about drug trafficking, terrorist plots, and right wing extremism totally without reason, he alleged in an interview with the outlet. Never ever left wing extremism, though, or Islamic, even. You know, it's kind of like the reason the entire TSA was created. But hey ho. Mr. Mikkelsen claimed that the officers then threatened him with a $5,000 fine or 5 years in prison if he refused to give the password to his mobile phone. The guards were said to have found a meme on the device's camera roll showing an edit of US Vice President JD Vance with a bald egg-shaped head. It's Fat Vance, it's the Fat Vance meme. Which, to be honest, I know it's kind of had the arse ripped out of it a little bit. It's still really funny. We've got tons of them. See how my Magic the Gathering club. We've got tons of them, and it's all we post to each other. Mikkelsen said after discovering the image, authorities sent him home to Norway on the same day. The US Customs and Border Protection, operating under the Department of Homeland Security, has since clarified that Mads Mikkelsen was not denied entry for any memes or political reasons. And that was the meme that, in fact, can you even see it? You can't even see it because they don't know how to format their website. But anyway, there he is there. I like how when you could look at a person, you can just tell their politics right away. I did it. Look, I'm sorry, it's really funny. There's so many edits of it, and Vance has even posted it himself. It comes after an Australian writer claimed that he was turned away from the US border after being grilled on his views on the Gaza conflict and articles that he wrote about pro-Palestinian protests. Alistair Kitchen, 33, boarded a flight from Melbourne to New York to visit friends on June the 12th when he was pulled to one side by a Customs and Border Protection officer during a layover in Los Angeles. He was detained for 12 hours at Los Angeles International Airport for being put on a flight back to Melbourne. Mr. Kitchen said he was refused entry to the US because of his political beliefs, but the Department of Homeland Security has said that this is unequivocally false. The writer lived in the US for 6 years before moving back home to Castlemaine in regional Victoria last year, and between 2022 and 2024, he studied at Columbia University. Mr. Kitchen claimed a customs officer told him he was being detained because of his views on the pro-Palestinian rallies that took place on campus at the New York University last year. I was interrogated about my beliefs on the crisis in Gaza. I told him what I believe, that the war is a tragedy and that in which all parties have blood on their hands, but which can and must come to an immediate end, he wrote in the Sydney Morning Herald. One party is dominant, and that party can end the death and destruction today. And it didn't actually go into it then, but basically the real reason that he was turned away, Mr. Mads Mikkelsen, is because he had to work on the second Death Stranding. No, I'm kidding on. It was because he had history of drug use on his phone. I believe now, allegedly, they haven't said specifically what it was, but allegedly, they basically found messages between him and his dealer for cocaine. Allegedly. Right, so that's apparently, and one thing that they are very, very, very heavy-handed on is that type of stuff. Basically, if you've shown any kind of drug use, they send you packing right away. They're very, very no-nonsense about that stuff. There was even a famous story about, there was a Scottish girl and all her friends went over to America, just for a holiday. They were going to do the Route 66 road trip thing. And when they went over there, she got picked for random screening. They had a look at her phone, and basically they saw the messages between her and her dealer and her friends all talking about cocaine. So they basically put her on a flight and sent her back home, right? Is that a little bit over the top? Yeah, it's very, very over the top, right? Oh, you smoked a little joint? Oh, I mean, see, to be honest, if you smoke weed, then just fly to California as your first stop. But anyway, yeah, so it wasn't for the meme. That's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't for the meme. It was for drug use. Is that a hell of an overreaction to drug use when you've got absolutely none on you or on your person or in your luggage or anything like that? Yeah, it's a hell of an overreaction. But still, the truth's important.